Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Drive Pink Dialogue. We're about 10 seconds from the end of Inter Miami's 1-0 victory over Charlotte FC. And man, we said in the pregame if they lost, this game would be totally irrelevant in a series of matches that included a bunch of CONCACAF Champions Cup games. But now that they've won, what a huge game that Inter Miami was able to make a statement in. I am slightly kidding, of course, but I do think this was something of a statement game. Last week, Charlotte FC hosted Atlanta United, and everyone was talking about Atlanta United with that 2-0. With the big signings over the summer. Over the transfer window. Miguel Almiron and, of course, Emmanuel Latelaz, the record-breaking transfer from, I believe, Middlesbrough. Everyone was talking about them, supporter shield, contender for MLS Cup, and they went into Charlotte, and this Charlotte team shut them down, and won 2-0. And then Charlotte goes to Inter Miami, gets a huge advantage with a early red card, or at least first half red card on Oscar Scotty. Inter Miami goes down to 10 men, and they still pull out a 1-0 victory. Very gutsy performance, incredibly fun to watch. I thought this was an incredibly deep performance. This is the instant reaction. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Thanks for getting in the chat. This is mostly going to be about what you guys think of that game. Saur will join us in a second. I see he's getting set up right now. But man, what a game. What a win. Inter Miami goes second in the table. They are now sitting on 7 points after 3 games. And despite getting straight red cards in all 3 of Inter Miami's first MLS games, they have gone, 7 points in 3 games. They are, I think, on pace to repeat as Supporters Shield champions. The only team ahead of them in the East, Philadelphia, who has been buoyed by an incredible start to the season by Ty Baribo, who certainly isn't going to be able to keep that going long term. So Inter Miami, another incredible performance. Yeah, guys. So let us know in the chat as Saur sort of welcomes us in, and I will I'll bring him on in a second whenever he's ready, I guess. There you are, Saur. How great was Yannick Bright, man?
Sorry, I needed to switch on my mic. That was beautiful. Yannick Bright was amazing. He was everywhere. The difference maker. Without him, we don't win this game. As clear as that. But, that was very satisfying because there were a lot of moments this game where I was thinking to myself why I disliked Wilfried Zaha as a player from his time at Crystal Palace. And I was waiting to tweet everything afterwards because I didn't want to jinx this result. I'm really glad we won that game because that was not a good performance from Charlotte. They were very prickly.
Defensively, it was good, right? They had one moment where I thought Suarez and Tadeo Allende, specifically Suarez with that ball over and Allende with a nice finish. Like, it wasn't like Inter Miami was close to scoring a second goal in this game.
Yeah, but also we lost our goalkeeper and we were playing 10 men. We needed to be 10 men for them to actually compete with us. So if we had all 11 players on the pitch, I think we win this game a lot more comfortably. Regardless, they didn't have much tooth in the final third. They didn't have much tooth in the final third at all. I don't think there was any clear chances where Rios Novo had to even.
I think you're so wrong about this. I think you're so wrong about this. I think they are excellent, but it was an incredible performance by all of our defenders and Yannick
absolutely
Bright.
And that's what I'm saying. Rocos Rios Novo didn't have a single save to make because there were 15 Inter Miami players right in front of him putting their bodies on the line. And I'd say 15 because Bright and Noah Allen were basically worth like 5 players each.
I totally agree. Incredible performance from Yannick Bright. Incredible performance from Noah Allen. I thought Toto Aviles, despite the yellow card, I thought he was really, really good in that first half. And then Gonzalo Lujan, I thought filled in well. And then Ian Frey on that right side in the second half. You mentioned it in the pregame show. You would have liked to see what Ian Frey can do against a guy like Wilfried Zaha one-on-one. I thought he showed up and showed out, and he was very good in the second half. First chat, SD says the USMNT must nationalize Bright. I'll be honest with you. I asked him about this when we got a chance to talk to him, and he said that it wasn't in the cards. And I was very disappointed to hear that because he is such a player, man. Man of the match to you? Because for me, it was an easy man of the match.
Yannick Bright.
Yeah. Okay. You saw the same thing.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, of course.
Miami Kings Charlotte's just not that good at this time. I disagree, and you clearly agree with him. I disagree. I thought Charlotte is very good.
I don't agree with him. I think Charlotte is a very good team. Defensively, they're fantastic. Their shape is amazing, but They couldn't break us down with us being 10 men. So they're still not offensively there
No,
yet.
but
They may get there eventually, but they're
this is
still
what I'm gonna
not
say.
offensively there yet.
This is what I'm gonna say. I don't think they're built to break down low blocks. I think they're built to hit in transition. And I actually think it's tougher for them when you go down a man and sit in a low block for them to break that down. Like, I don't think they're there yet as a team. I think they're designed with pace and hitting in transition. And we saw them in transition. You know, Wilfred Zaha was a menace. And I think you probably think more of it. He was a flopper, and I thought he was pretty good. But certainly, I think this is a good Charlotte team. Man, Malanda had another great game. We didn't force Christian Kalina to make any saves, and I thought Ashley Westwood was pretty good. I did agree. I thought Liel Abada and Biel were sort of not quite in this game as much. I thought they all deferred to Wilfred Zaha a lot, but you could see. I mean, there was a moment in the first 10 minutes or so where he kind of just forced Kramaski to run around him because Kramaski was just chasing the ball. I thought it was really impressive.
I think more than anything, it just showed the gulf in quality between the two sides. Yes, the Charlotte team is really good, but our defense was insane. With 10 men, we were playing so well, almost to the point that I feel like we play better when we go down to 10 men. The shape was fantastic. We didn't let them have anything. We were gritty. We pushed into them every time they were on the ball. I know we committed a fair few fouls towards the end, but we didn't let Zaha breathe at all. And I don't know if you saw my Twitter, but it's a thing of beauty seeing some of these new players come into the MLS and just realize how physical it really is. You're not going to get those easy fouls here because you can't just if you get a little bit pushed, you can't just fall on the ground and expect to get a foul. This is what the MLS is, and I love the way we handled Zaha, especially Ian Frey being physical, Yannick Bright being physical. I know that's not Inter Miami's general state of play, but going down 10 men, I thought our defensive performance was a lot better than Charlotte's offensive performance when they should have definitely done much better than us.
Yeah, I agree. And Patrick Ajimong in the box every single time Yannick Bright just manhandled him. And that boy is big in terms of Ajimong. He is like he's listed at 6'4". He looks like he's 6'6", 6'7". He's a freak in terms of his size. And Yannick Bright just handled him in the box. It was really impressive. You said that Inter Miami's better when they are good when they go down to 10 men. Just wait until you see them go down to 9. That's when it gets really fun. But yeah. By the way, guys, we've got 185 people watching. Do us a favor, hit the like button real quick. Anton says it's amazing. Gundam says easy peasy. Until the last 10 minutes, it actually didn't feel like Charlotte was going to even threaten. I do think there was some standout performances. There was a couple dangerous moments. There was one really dangerous moment where I think it was Taplaki or going to pronounce that.
He hit the post.
To Clamati, who hits the post. That could have been a goal, right? Like Luis Suarez finishes that, but I mean that was it. Like if you give up one clear-cut chance the whole game, you're going to shut out a lot of teams. And Inter Miami gets a 1-0 victory. I started this off before you joined us, and I said that if we had lost, this game wouldn't have been that important. But now that we won, what does it mean for Inter Miami?
So much. It just goes to show the level of quality this team has. I was expecting a drop in physicality levels. That was not the case. We played really well. We competed with Charlotte every step of the way. Despite going down to 10 men, I thought our physical levels will drop. No, I was completely wrong. We kept toe-to-toe with them. We brought the physicality, and I really liked that. It wasn't a pretty game to watch by any means. We didn't have that many chances. The goal we scored was fantastic. I don't know if you've talked about that yet, but the goal we scored was beautiful. And after that was just drive down, hunker down, and keep this clean sheet because we did not want to give that goal away. Going 10 men down, I think, was very harsh. I know you might think it was a red card. I thought it could have gone either ways. I thought it was slightly harsh on the story.
I think it could have gone either way too.
Yeah, but I thought it was very, very harsh. I thought Zaha was looking for a foul and maybe a yellow card. I don't know if he would have finished if he'd been through on goal either because there were 3 Inter Miami players. Regardless, we went down 10 men and I thought, well, this game is gone because it's going to be really hard to match up against this Charlotte side. And lo and behold, we were still better than them for a majority of the game. Yes, they had a few chances towards the end, but I thought Inter Miami held its own, which just goes to show that Miami is its own worst nightmare, right? We create our worst problems. The only team that can beat Miami is Inter Miami. Lessons to be learned from this. We can't give up easy, cheap fouls and keep picking up red cards, because that puts us in jeopardy. And there's only as much this season you can continue to do this and get away with it. So we have to clean up. 3 red cards in a row is not good by any means. So you need to clean that up. But other than that, Inter Miami is the best team in the league, and we proved that today.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get back to a lot of those talking points, but I kind of want to stick with the chat for a minute. David says, disciplined performance by Inter Miami. That second half, man, they were so blocked up. They were so good. They were so disciplined in their positioning, kept their lines so well, tight block. I mean, really, really impressive, and including a few standout performances. I saw Noah Allen kind of seeing that Jordi Alba was losing a little bit of steam on the comeback, and so he knew he had to take a step out there and kind of cover for it when it really got down to the corner. He was always prepared to do that. I mean, really impressive from that back line, and Yannick Bright, I add to that. And then, well, we'll get to it, but Miami King says too many cards. As much as we're praising them for being disciplined, it was a lot of yellow cards. It's another Aviles gets the yellow, obviously. Suarez gets a yellow for argument. Yannick Bright gets one towards the end. I think maybe Ian Frey got one towards the end. Maybe it just got warned, but it doesn't bother as much in the MLS, honestly, if I'm being honest with you. But the obvious one is very frustrating. Let's talk about the red card, because Anton says with Ustari red carded, Calendar needs to come back. I think if that happens to Lionel Messi, you get the dog, so you get a red card. And if it happens to like David Ruiz, you don't get the red card. Like, I think it's sort of that type of situation where I can see it going either way. And I do think Wilfred Zaha is like in terms of stardom in the league, he's more on the Lionel Messi side than the David Ruiz side. So I think he stuck his leg out, but sometimes you get that call. So frustrating, and I'm a lot more okay with it because Inter Miami won the game 1-0.
Yeah, it would have definitely been a bigger talking point if we'd lost the game. But yeah, it is what it is. I wasn't very happy with that goal. I wish they'd at least gone to VAR and reviewed it a little bit, or given the referee an opportunity to go to the screen. But I guess they thought that it was fine, and that's okay as long as Inter Miami still won the game.
Yeah, exactly. And then he follows up by saying Calendar needs to come back against Atlanta. I would bet anything that Calendar plays against Atlanta next week. Even if he's 90%, not 100%, I bet he's going to play against Atlanta next week.
Yeah, even though Rocco Rios Novo didn't have much to do, I don't think he was particularly great. We did feel a little bit shaky at the back once Ustari left. So the command in the box was not the same once Ustari was gone, which was majority of the game, I guess.
Yeah, and against Atlanta, who's got some real players, you're going to want the shot-stopping ability of Calendar. And again, is it going to be a little bit of a revenge game for Calendar based on what happened last year in the playoffs? Libby says, unbelievable. Bright is so good. INX says, let's go Bright. Miami King says, Bright is so great. I mean, like, how does he? Is he the best midfielder in the MLS?
No, we can't.
Is he the best defensive midfielder in the MLS?
I mean, he's getting there. He had he had that nutmeg today, which looked really good. He had a switch ball out to Jordi Alba, which looked beautiful. He was just everywhere. There were moments where I thought he was playing up the pitch, but there he was in the D, just protecting the ball against Ajimang or somebody. He was literally everywhere because I could not put my eyes down on him. He was back, forth, front, everywhere. So fantastic game for him. I think coming of age game for him for Inter Miami. He was brilliant this game, and we don't get that result without Bright in the middle of the park. I think he has to start, man. He has to start every game. He has to be part of that midfield. He has to be part of that midfield.
Okay, I'm going to hold off thoughts on Segovia, see if someone comes to it in the chat. But I do have thoughts on the midfield in totality. The dude says, Ola Inter Miami needs, we won. Let's go. Thomas says, Allende, fire. He's a goal scorer, dude. I'm going to look up how many goals he has so far this season. I believe it's 4 in 5 games. And they're clutch. They're timely. They're impressive. They're the little things he's doing right to create offense, making sure he gets himself into the right position, but also like he's got a flair for the really impressive. He is such a player, dude. I don't know how Inter Miami found this kid and was able to convince him to come, but I think he's the reason they said we don't need Matthias Rojas back. I think they said we're going to get this Tadeo Allende kid. He's going to be even better. He gets the winner. What do you think about Allende?
I don't think he had much to do this game, But the one thing that he had to do, he just did it brilliantly. He created that goal all by himself. A really good pass from Luis Suarez into him, but he created that goal, ran through the middle into Suarez, and then had the one thing I really like about him is that he has that game sense to continue to make those runs off the ball once he pops off the ball to somebody else. So he just doesn't just stand there and wait for it to come back to him. He follows his pass, and that's what he did. He followed his own pass, got it back from Suarez, and it wasn't easy. He had to chest it down, great first touch, and then a beautiful finish into the back of the net. I was on my feet when that happened because that came out of nowhere. Also from a kickoff, so perfect time to catch Charlotte off when they weren't completely set in their structure, and took the opportunity, took the advantage. This guy is built to score goals. He is so good in front of the goal. And one thing that I didn't expect from him when I saw his highlights when we were doing the scouting report, I think he's really stepped up in terms of how goal threatening he can be. And I think it's just the start for him. He's going to score more goals.
Well, I think he had like 14 career goals, and he's 25 in his entire career before this season.
Might double that.
He looks like he's gonna score 15 to 20 goals this year. He looks like, actually right now he looks like he's gonna score 25 to 30. But like realistically, you could bet on him scoring 15 to 20 goals and feel pretty good about it right now. He's been, I think, really impressive. Thomas says clean sheet, and Diego says defense has improved drastically since last year. I was thinking about this during the game. Like, we used to complain about the set pieces being a problem. That has improved dramatically over the last year. They got, I don't know, 10, 12 corners in this game, handled them all well. 13, they had 13 corner kicks in Miami, handled them all well. And just in transition, the center backs are playing really well. And then you add Yannick Bright into that midfield, and this is a defensive, I think, juggernaut. Like, I think this is the team that's going to finish in the top 5 in goals allowed this season. And you think about what we've given up so far. We gave up 1 goal to Houston. That was like really a dumb last-minute goal that we kind of just switched off for a second. We get a shutout here, and NYCFC scored 2 when we were down a man. And so it's like, this is a team that feels like it could be an excellent defensive team this year. And that hasn't been the case the last couple years.
This was a defense versus defense game. It wasn't an offense game at all. I thought Charlotte tried everything in their power to break us down. We stuck to our guns. Everyone played together, and there were moments where Wilfried Zaha on the ball, 3 players around him, Lujan, Bright, and Ian Frey. And that's really good to see because we were really shutting down any space that the opposition had on the ball. And I really liked that. We played as a defensive unit today, and every single player should be proud of the result because we really needed everyone to step up to be able to get that result.
David says Frey was a good substitute. Zaha, who? And the dude says the battle between Zaha and Frey, epic. Okay, let's talk about Gonzalo Lujan to start, because he gets the start at right back. I think we were very curious to see how it worked.
I thought he looked confident at the start before we went down to 10 men.
He looked like he looked like a center back playing right back.
Well, I would still think he's better than Cello Weekend.
Ian Frey did feel like an upgrade defensively.
But Ian Frey does more things what a right back does, right?
No, but I'm just talking about defensively. Like in this game, I thought Gonzalo Lujan did a good job of staying in his position, guarding his space, not getting torched one-on-one. But Ian Frey is like a one-on-one like defender. Like, he can actually get out there and strip the ball from you. And against a guy like Wilfried Zaha, like, I think we were really impressed when he did that against Aliyu for Houston. But we also understand that Aliyu is sort of like a very young player that is coming into his own. To do it against Wilfried Zaha, I thought was way more impressive.
Yeah, and there were a couple of moments where Zaha was on the floor complaining to the referee how many times is he going to get away with a foul, and Frey just gave it back to him, and I love that. That's the kind of like attitude and the feistiness you need against some of these players. He has that to lock them down. Frey obviously is our easy starting right back, absolutely no doubt. But I don't think Lujan was too bad either. He can definitely do a job there if needed.
I'll leave this one for you. David says, I would not comment on Yannick Bright because I'm going to leave it to Saur. I know we talked about him, but give me one other word for how great Yannick Bright was today.
He's phenomenal. I don't know what else to say about him. He leaves me speechless every time he plays. It's just the little things that he does. I think they said it on commentary that he's a player that you won't appreciate unless you actually watch the game closely and see how much he's contributing. He's going to do the dirty work for all the other players to shine around him. And today he was absolutely the star, because you saw his heat map at the end. He was literally everywhere. He was chasing the ball. He was chasing the player. He didn't let them pass through. They were left to work through crosses towards the last 10 minutes because Yannick Bright and I would say Federico Redondo as well, together they just shut down the middle of the park. Charlotte had nothing coming through in the middle. Arjaman was nowhere to be seen. Not on crosses, not throughout the game. There was opportunities that they had to run into space and our players just shut it down. And it started from Yannick Bright. He brings that intensity and that defensive mindset that you need when you're down to 10 men. And it just basically feels like you're playing with 15 players because he is 5 extra players in that middle. Sometimes I guess you just got to nerf into Miami and bring us down to 10 men. Otherwise, we would absolutely wreck the opposition. Today felt like one of those days where Bright needed to step up, and he did. So, phenomenal. I'm going to talk more about him in our post-game show.
Hash says, I respect Javier Mascherano for not including Messi in the second half due to the red card. He needed defense. It didn't look like Lionel Messi was coming off the bench.
No.
It didn't look like that to me.
No chance.
Should we spend 30 seconds on Messi? Because I think I got fooled yesterday, and I'm upset about it now. I was telling myself I am not going to put Messi in my predicted 11 until he gets back into the lineup. Then there were some reports yesterday afternoon that he was going to be in the lineup, but he was going to play, and I got hoodwinked again, and I am frustrated about that. But Inter Miami wins without him, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's fine if Messi doesn't play. I don't think this was a game for him. We did need somebody up there to bring us out of the I don't want to say the mess that we were creating for ourselves, but Charlotte was putting a lot of pressure towards the end, and we needed someone like an outball outlet to just relieve that pressure. We didn't have that. We needed that today, and I feel like if Allende was on the pitch, maybe, but he was quite tired by the end of it. We just needed someone up top who could hold the ball better.
Yeah, but I actually, the thing is, against that defense, I don't know if there's a player on this roster that's going to do that because they're so physical, because they're so good. That like I actually kind of appreciate, like oftentimes in this situation, I would have said throw Leo Alfonso on there because he has the pace to really stretch out the back line and make it difficult for them when they're sucking in to try and create offense. But against this pair of center backs, especially Malanda, it's going to be tough to do for anyone. So I'm actually okay with them sort of doubling down on defense. I thought it was the right decision given the opponent. Yeah. Mark says Redondo and Ruiz weren't good. Both refused to lay the ball off back to Allen, and both times they lost it, and Charlotte was back. Need to be smarter there. How about some of the substitutes? David Martinez comes off the bench. Redondo and David Ruiz came in. I thought they came in for extremely tired players, and they helped us get a win. So I'm fine with it.
I thought the substitutions were good. They were well thought out. I was surprised Luis Suarez came off at 68th minute because I think Mascherano recognized that this team needed a little bit more defensive players. Ruiz, I thought, did well. He had a couple of instances where he ran with the ball and got us a foul. Redondo, I thought, was fine. Yeah, you can pick out a couple of moments where they should have done better, could have done better, but both the instances that you mentioned, they were fairly isolated, and going back to Noah Allen might have given the ball back to Charlotte in some way or another. It's all right. These mistakes happen from time to time, so I don't want to blame them too much. I thought they played well. Every single player on that pitch matched up to the physicality that Charlotte brought to the game. So I was happy with the substitutes and how they performed as well.
Lucas says, what a poor team Charlotte is. 12 men. They couldn't beat 10 men without Messi. But then Hash, and I agree with Hash, anytime Inter Miami beats a team, they say the opponent is not a good team. Respect Inter Miami. This is how I feel.
Charlotte's a very good team.
Charlotte is a very good team. Again, I still think they're the second best team in the MLS. I still think Miami's the best team in the MLS, and they went out and proved that it's a pretty big margin.
Charlotte's offense was not good tonight, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be good later in the season. You could see they were struggling to have that extra edge in the final third. They didn't have that tooth in front of goal. They had a couple of opportunities, but this team is going to eventually build up and build chemistry in that final third. And I feel like this is going to be a much more dangerous team when we see them next. They're not that bad. We were tooth and nail fighting with them, and we were 10 men down, but still, I think it took a lot of Inter Miami's full effort to get a result out here.
Again, I know I said this already, but I think that this team Charlotte is not designed to break down a low block. It's designed to hit in transition, and this would have been tougher. And I think some people mentioned it that we played better with 10 men than 11. I think Charlotte is prepared to go face to face with teams and play through them and invite some pressure and defend well. And like they want to play good versus good. And so when you get to a game like this where you go down to where the opposition goes down to 10 men, they don't have, I think, surprisingly, because you think they would have the pieces, but just based on history, those guys want to hit in transition. That's what Charlotte does. So they'll have to improve on that over the course of the season. But like, I think they have ways to score against other teams. It's just Inter Miami, A, played really well, and B, the circumstances, I think, benefited Inter Miami. Ash says Zaha means he who dives. And Sony says Zaha has always been a flopper. He was, I think, the most impactful player in the game for both teams, right? He earns the red card. I know he doesn't get a goal. Obviously, Yannick Bright's a good shout for that, but like he was constantly the maker of action. I think people that are going to call out Zaha for being poor, I think are missing. I think he's going to be really
all right. Mention one moment where he was goal threatening, apart from that red card.
You mean when he gets a red card for a dog?
No, but he wasn't on goal free though. Mention one moment where he actually made Rocco Rios Novo make a save.
No, he didn't make Rocco Rios Novo make a save, but he's also not their striker. He's a creator who's going to get goals throughout the season.
How many opportunities did he create?
He got a dog show penalty. He got a red card.
Other than that, that was also no. First of all, that was the only moment where he created something, and throughout the game, he was average. I don't think he was the best player on the pitch by any means. You watch the game again, and you let me know how threatening he actually was.
Okay, I will. Ustari, the dude says Ustari over Drake. Monty says, I'm scared of Rocco being our goalkeeper against Atlanta. Does this change your opinion on Ustari at all? Does this change your opinion on the goalkeeping situation? Who do you expect? Who do you want to see against Atlanta next week? Assuming, I think rightfully, that Ustari is not going to get the red card repealed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too bothered by it. It's fine. Ustari, a little bit unlucky in the sense that it could have gone either way, and it's okay. We move from there. I think Drake Allen needs to get a run out for us to actually have a conversation about who's better, Ustari or Drake, and we'll see. I think Drake gets an opportunity against Atlanta.
Can I ask you a question though? Against Atlanta, I agree. I think Drake's going to end up starting and find his way to be healthy for that. Is there anything he can do to win the job in that game? Like, has Ustari like separated himself? Or is it like Ustari is like the number one, but it's like, is Ustari going to start the next game after that no matter what? Like, can Drake be good enough?
I think it's hard to say from one game alone. I think right now Ustari's going to play the CONCACAF Champions Cup, and then Drake's going to play the MLS. And if Drake has a really good game, then it's going to be one game off, one game on for the two of them. They're going to alternate because I don't think right now it's clear who's our number one keeper. If Drake has a really good game, then I think it's going to be one off, one on.
I think it's going to be Ustari back in goal. I do. Jeffrey says, well-managed game by Mascherano. Miami King Mascherano masterpiece. Thomas with Mascherano's good subs. How did you feel about this performance from Javier Mascherano, who's now for the second game in a couple of weeks had to go down to 10 men in the first half, manage it, and see out a positive result?
I mean, we really praised Tata Martino when we did this against teams last season, so you have to praise Javier Mascherano. We said, how is he going to react in adversity? It looks like he knows how to react and how to get a reaction from the players, set his team up really well. Without his defensive instructions, Inter Miami would not have been this good in this game. And I think a huge portion of this falls on the coaching staff for setting us up the way they did in going down to 10 men.
Okay, one of the big talking points we had going into the game and over the course of the last couple of days was the rotation. I once again thought Segovia looked exhausted. I thought Busquets and Alba looked exhausted. I thought Suarez looked tired. I thought even Allende towards the end of the second half looked exhausted. And the guys that hadn't been playing all these minutes, Lujan, Allen, Frey, Aviles, Yannick Bright, they all looked much better to me. I still think this rotation's a problem. Segovia, I thought, was the biggest you could see it affecting him. Now, I will add, very hot out there today. For a guy like Segovia, this is his first time. He's never played European soccer in terms of, like, when he was in Europe, he didn't play continental soccer. So he's not used to playing 2 games a week. He's certainly not used to playing in 90-degree weather. So you can understand it, but I still want to see more even after this. And especially after a game like today, because it's an exhausting game. You have nothing?
No, nothing on the rotation piece. I think I'm quite done with talking about rotation for now, because I don't think we're going to get it at this point in time. I think Javier Mascherano's trying to see it out until the Atlanta game, and after international break, he's hoping he can get the players to recover. But I know we're hoping for more rotation. It's not going to happen. I highly doubt it.
But do you think it's going to come back to bite us for him to learn? Because I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yeah, I hope not. I do think it's going to come back to bite us. Is he going to learn from it? Probably not. But I hope it doesn't come back to bite us, because today wasn't as bad as it was against Cavalier. It was a lot more visible against Cavalier, even though the play style is slightly the same. Today, I don't think it was, because maybe not, because it wasn't as visible today because we were sitting in a low block. So we didn't necessarily try to go out. And our offense was basically non-existent for majority of the game, apart from the one opportunity that we had. So maybe that's why it wasn't as visible. But defensively, we stayed physical enough to compete, which was okay.
I just, again, I think you're going to rewatch this game. I think we're excited about what we saw in the second half, and it was a real effort to get through the finish line. And we had a bunch of, 5 substitutes come on. But I think you're going to rewatch this game in the first half and see some Segovia moments where he's just like not quite ready for, not ready, but just it just looks tired. And I thought that was a big reason why offensively we couldn't create much. Charlotte came out like attacking for the first 5 to 7 minutes of the game, sat back. I do wonder how much that played into us being unsure exactly what Charlotte was going to do. And it kind of lost a little bit of confidence for that first 25 minutes, exactly how to play this game. And then soon after we get the red card, so it kind of shook the entire game. But what about Kremaski on the right? Because I thought he had a couple nice moments before he came out.
I thought he looked good. And again, it just feels like this is a stop-start season for Kremaski, because every time somebody goes off, every time somebody gets a red card, Kremaski is the first one to get hooked. He had to come off for Oscar Stari's red card, which was a shame. But I thought he was playing really well before that. He had some really good moments on the ball, making some good runs in behind. A shame that he wasn't able to finish the game. And I hope one of these games he has that standout performance where we can actually see how much effort he's putting in.
Giovanni says, I like how Fred kept talking smack to Zaha. He wasn't impressed. Upcode says, guys, this team has heart. This was also something I thought about a lot last season. In 2023, we had a number of games right sort of around when Phil Neville got fired, where we got a bunch of red cards in the second half, and we had a lead or we had a draw in an important result, an important game, at least for Phil Neville, because they were all important at that point. And the team just couldn't see the game out. It felt like the heads dropped. It felt like you get the bad call. I remember Franco Negri had a red card. He scored, by the way, for San Diego last night. And you just felt like that was a team trying to survive. This team feels like winners. This team feels like no matter the circumstances, no matter the weather, we're going to go out there and work hard and go for the win. And I think we established that last season, but to see it continue into this season with new players, it was really nice to see.
And we've got experience now. We've done it before last season a couple of times. A lot of these players were in that situation last season as well. We know exactly what to do when the cards are stacked against us, and it builds character and it builds personality. Don't be surprised if this is not the first time or the last time that Inter Miami goes through such a situation, because it does seem like our players have a tendency to pick up a red card regardless of who it is. So I'm sure throughout the season we're going to face a similar situation, but these moments are going to be the character building ones where you gain that experience and understand how you want to play. And last season we did that a few times, and now we have that experience, and now we know that we can do it if it comes to that.
Yeah. Anything else from this game as I sort of read through some of these last ones? Natalia says defending set pieces was our Achilles heel. This game settles that this year is going to be a different story. Yeah, I felt like there was dramatic improvement over the course of 2024 And to see that continue through to 2025 is a great feeling, especially, Noah Allen, undersized. He doesn't play undersized at all, man. And so the set pieces have been awesome, and especially against a guy like Ajimong, who's, again, a giant. Yannick Bright was just in there, 13 corners for Charlotte, and he was just, boxing him out every single time. Wasn't dangerous at all. I thought Inter Miami did an incredible job on set pieces as well.
Yeah, this was a defense versus defense game, as I've said, and both defenses played really well, and Inter Miami had to work really hard for it, but I was really surprised by how he dealt with the physicality. Definite improvement in the structure.
Mistiano says Masha is earning trust with his subs in shape, but still we have a point about the rotation. I agree. I think his substitutions, his game plans, his lineups have all been excellent. Really, the only concern I have is fatigue over time. And Upcode says this team is exhausted. But other than that, I think this is a really fun team to watch. And I think Javier Mascherano has really, really been so impressive that it makes you look back and think, man, we didn't really have great coaches over the last couple of years. Hash says, where can I rewatch the match? You can rewatch it on Apple TV anytime. Hash says 3 MLS games, 3 red cards. I'm expecting a red against Atlanta. Aviles says Mistiano. Aviles ain't learning. It's frustrating. He's got talent, but he's a liability. Well, I guess we'll make this the last point. Toto Aviles. I thought he played really well other than the yellow card. And yet that's going to be the story of his game. It's going to mark his early season. They mentioned on the broadcast that Mascherano had told the broadcasters that was, the red card was sort of an unacceptable moment from him a couple weeks ago. And in a game and in a roster where you have 5 center backs all fighting for playing time, that type of thing is going to be a difference maker. How'd you feel about Toto?
Yeah, this will get him in trouble. It will. It doesn't feel like Javier Mascherano is going to sit around and let him make those errors, and that's probably why he got taken off at the 46th minute. It's not fun to see. There was no reason for him to make that challenge because Zaha, yes, wanted to turn, but you can't make those silly errors and get a yellow card at such a crucial point in the game. It wasn't easy, and yeah, I feel like Aviles is again his own worst enemy. He plays well whenever he plays, but it's just those yellow cards and red cards that go against him. When you have 4 other players right behind you trying to earn that same spot as well, you're going to find yourself in a lot of trouble if you make these errors, regardless of how good your game is.
I think again, they also mentioned on the broadcast that they're looking for they're looking for a partnership to play in every big game. And I think all 5 guys are in it. I think all guys are fighting for it. I think 5 guys have put out good statements in terms of their performances. And if you're Toto and this keeps happening, especially when you're talking about big games, you don't want to get in a situation where you got to pull at halftime. You don't want to get a situation where you might put the team down to 10 men. That could be the difference maker. And this is a big year for Toto. So I agree 100%. Okay, Saur, you and I will be back tomorrow night to break down this game in its totality. Again, this is more of a raw emotional reaction after a really exciting 1-0 win. And we want to have this with you guys in the chat. So thank you so much for being a part of it. Any final words on this game before we sort of break it down in its entirety tomorrow?
No, glad we got the victory. It was a difficult game. We knew it wouldn't be pretty against the Charlotte team, which is a very good team, and definitely not easy when you go down to 10 men for a majority of the game. But again, this team showed that it has character. It has the skill set and talent to get the better of any team, regardless of what the circumstances. We overcame adversity, got that one opportunity in front of goal, converted it, and then our defenders in our midfield and Yannick Bright took us home. Great win. Glad that we were able to get the 3 points and second in the league, baby. Who would have thought?
Yeah, well, second in the Eastern Conference. And again, the team that's first is Philadelphia. I picked Philadelphia to be worst in the East. I still don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but they've gotten off to an incredible start under Bradley Carnell, thanks to Ty Baribo, who has 6 goals in 3 games. We thought Allende was impressive, but Baribo's been something else. Okay, guys, we will be back tomorrow. One last time, do us a favor, hit the like button and join us tomorrow for that. But other than that, have a wonderful night. See you then. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Do us a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Since our first viewer, sharing this with you all has been the very best part. So from the beginning until the end, thank you for being a part of this and have a wonderful day.